Ladies and gentlemen, let's go to the phones right now, and welcome to the program, Donald Trump. Mr. Trump, good morning.
Good morning.
And congratulations on being a new granddad.
Well, that's important. That's very important. I will tell you, Ivanka has always been great, and this is a beautiful baby, Theodore, so it's a very beautiful baby.
Theodore Trump.
What a story he'll be able to tell about this particular year of his birth.
Well, it's been a very interesting year, fellas. I will tell you that. It's been very tumultuous. We just had a great poll just came out from NBC it's in light of Wisconsin, where I think I should do well. I mean, the people want defense, they want jobs, they want trade, they want trade protection from all that's happening. I think I should do well, but it seems to be a pretty well-stacked deck, so but we'll find out. I'm going to be there today. We'll find out. But this has been an amazing year.
Now, Mr. Trump, you've said many times that what you want to do if you're elected president is make America great again, build a wall, get better trade deals. Right. That's all great. The job itself, though, the actual title of President of the United States, what do you see as the duties of that job, both sort of constitutionally and philosophically? Do you see it unique and different from how other countries have their overall leader, like prime ministers and kings and whatnot?
Well, I think it's unique, certainly, but it's not unique in one respect. You're supposed to protect the citizens. Above all, we have to protect. And we're not being very well protected when you look at what's going on with terrorism. You know, I'm doing tremendously well with people, according to everybody, wanting security, wanting protection, wanting not illegal immigrants pouring across the border like it's Swiss cheese. That won't happen with me, believe me. And people will come into our country, but they'll come in legally. And we have a Muslim problem. We have an absolute Islamic, when you look at radical Islam, it's a disaster for worldwide. I'm not just talking here, I'm talking worldwide. You probably noticed about a couple of months ago, I was saying that Brussels is a hellhole. And the New York Times attacked me very viciously that I would make such a statement about a place, and it turned out to be a hellhole. And now I'm getting great credit for prognostication, for predicting. And, I've made a lot of good predictions. I know what's happening. And above all else, I see it as we have to be a protective force for the people. We need security. We need military. We need protection, above all else.
Well, one of the things that some people have issues with, myself included, is the perception that you don't necessarily respect dissent. And by that I mean, you sometimes, people who sometimes ask you difficult questions or say things critical of you, you attack and threaten them. And can you reassure Americans, particularly in Wisconsin, for this upcoming primary next Tuesday, that if you're elected president, you'll respect the rights and moreover not infringe on the rights of not just office holders who come out against you on particular issues, but of every American's right to disagree with a President Trump?
Sure. Well, I understand what you say. Now, I do fight back hard when somebody is dissenting, and I tend to win, as you can see. I mean, I won with your governor. Your governor came out. He was expected to win, and, we sent him packing like a little boy.
Which governor?
Governor Quinn.
Your governor.
Oh, yeah, okay. I know.
And, so I didn't ask whether or not he's endorsing me because I assume he won't be endorsing me, but I'm the one that revealed his weaknesses, and I'm the one that, when he got out, he said, we must stop him, we must stop him. Well, that was strong dissent. At the same time, it was also victory. And I think the people of our country want to see victories now. They really want to see victories. We don't win anymore. The United States does not win anymore. And part of that is a little bit of maybe your question. We don't want to see strong dissent. We don't want to have strong people. We don't want to have people that will really fight for us. We want nice people that give nice answers. Well, I know you didn't mean it that way, but I do dissent strongly if I agree. It also depends on who's asking the question. I mean, oftentimes we'll have people that I know are, in my opinion, negative forces or negative people asking a question, so I'll probably be stronger on them than somebody that I feel is a fair person but disagrees with me on something. But no, I agree in dissent 100%.
Okay, good. I mean, go ahead, Riley.
We're spending some time with Republican frontrunner Donald Trump, taking some time out of his morning for us. And if I could segue back to something we were just talking about before, and that is Americans feeling safe, feeling protected, feeling that someone's looking out for them. And you just put it really, really well, and we'd like to see some winning going on. Not feeling real protected now. We've got a guy who has apologized seemingly for the last 8 years about almost everything American. I'd really like to see from you, and have seen thus far, but even more of it, the reverse side of that coin.
Well, first of all, it's a pleasure speaking to two people that have an open mind, because I called 3 or 4 people yesterday in Wisconsin that were absolutely ridiculous. I mean, the shows were ridiculous and, just so closed. And so I found it to be actually an interesting experience. I said, what's going on over here? But it is nice to have two people that have an open mind too.
I definitely have an open mind.
As do I.
My biggest
really mean,
concern,
by the way, and I mean that as truthful, to winning. Our country doesn't win anymore. Our country loses on trade. We lose with the military. We lose with our vets. I mean, if you think about it, our military can't defeat ISIS. Can you imagine General Patton not being able to defeat ISIS? He'd laugh at ISIS. He'd have ISIS gone in 1 week. And we don't win anymore. And we need to win. We need to strengthen ourselves. We need to win. We need to bring back our money. We need to stop paying so much money to NATO and worry about our forces, because we're taking care of all of these countries that are getting, in many cases, a free ride. And I'm the only one that brought it up. I brought up NATO. It's a free ride for so many of these countries, a disgusting free ride. And frankly, NATO's obsolete. We could change it, rejigger it, or frankly, if we had to, get rid of it, because we're paying billions and billions of dollars to protect countries that frankly do nothing for us, and they do nothing in terms of payment. And we owe $19 trillion, soon to be $21 trillion, because of the horrible budget, the omnibus budget that was just passed, which is a horror show, which allows people to come into our country, which funds Obamacare. I mean, this budget was a disaster that they just passed. And nobody speaks up. I speak up. I'm the only one. But our country doesn't win anymore. And if I get elected president, we're going to start winning again. We're not going to let China and Japan and Mexico and every country that we deal with rip us off on trade deals anymore. The business people in Wisconsin are going to be able to get their product into these countries, or these countries are going to have difficulty. Because right now, if you want to deal with China, it's very hard, almost impossible to get your product in. It's very, very hard. And the people of Wisconsin are losing, but the people of the United States are looking. You take a look at decimated by deals that are made by people that literally, people that literally have no talent whatsoever for deal making. Political hacks are making deals with the smartest people in China, Japan, Mexico, India, Vietnam. And it's insulting. So I will change that around, and we'll have a much different situation. We're not going to have $19 trillion in debt. And the reason we do is we're like the policemen for the world, and nobody pays us. Saudi Arabia pays us peanuts. And without us, Saudi Arabia wouldn't exist, frankly, because they would have been wiped off the face of the earth already. And yet they were making, prior to the oil decline, $1 billion a day. And we protect them, and they pay us practically nothing by comparison to what we do. So those days are over.
We are speaking with the one and only Donald Trump. He will be in Janesville at 4 p.m. today. Big rally there. And Janesville, of course, Paul Ryan, the Speaker of the House, is in his congressional district. And one of his big things is entitlement reform. And you mentioned the $19 trillion debt our country has. How can we attack that debt? Let's say President Trump is President Trump next year without entitlement reform.
Well, Paul, who I like a lot, he called me last week. I think he's a really nice guy, but I disagree with him on this. Paul wants to knock out Social Security, knock it down, way down, wants to knock Medicare way down. And frankly, well, two things. Number one, you're going to lose the election if you do that. That's going to be easy. I was watching Bernie and Hillary debating, and they can't give enough on that. So you're going to lose the election. So that's not the purpose of what we have to do. What's right, but you will lose the election if you do that. But more importantly, in a sense, I want to keep it. These people have been making their payments for their whole lives. I want to keep Social Security intact. Now, I want to get rid of waste, fraud, and abuse. I want to do a lot of things to it that are going to make it much better, actually, but I'm not going to cut it, and I'm not going to raise ages, and I'm not going to do all of the things that they want to do, but they want to really cut it, and they want to cut it very substantially, the Republicans. And I'm not going to do that. I'm going to bring our jobs back. I'm going to make our country rich again. I'm going to make sure that NATO isn't ripping us, and I'm going to make sure that the United Nations, which is a disaster, they never give us anything. We get nothing from the United Nations, and look at the kind of cost that is. And we just don't, either it's going to work for us, or what's the purpose of us making the big payment? We make the big payment. Other people, take a look at what they pay for the United Nations. Some of them pay nothing. And we always seem to be on the wrong end of the rulings. We don't certainly get... And how often is the United Nations involved in disputes? You take a look at all of these disputes all over the world. Do you ever see United Nations getting in there and solving? It's just a political organization for themselves. So there is so much money that's being... And I'm talking about billions and billions of dollars. And then the big thing is trade. Because when you look at the imbalance, of China to the United States, or Japan or Mexico or any of these countries to the United States, virtually every country we have a trade imbalance with. We have just a disastrous trade imbalance with, and you're talking about billions and billions and billions of dollars. And when you straighten that out, we'll be able to easily pay for Social Security and other things. Now, with that being said, the Democrats want to expand it. They want to give more. I mean, the Republicans can be nice and they can talk about entitlements all they want. But if they do what I'm saying is we're going to make our country rich again, we'll be able to afford it. What they're saying is we're going to cut the hell out of Social Security. That's Cruz too. Cruz wants to cut the hell out of Social Security. He wants to cut the hell out of Medicare. And by the way, Medicare is a program that works. It actually works. Now, there's a lot of waste, there's a lot of fraud and abuse, and we'll get rid of that. It'll be professionally run. But we're going to make our country rich again, and we're going to be able to afford good programs.
We know you only have a couple of minutes left to spend with us, but one of the things I wanted to hit you on, and you know this because the economics is your background and business is your background. When you look at this part of the country, Wisconsin, Northern Illinois, we're part of what you often hear called the Rust Belt. What about some hope for the people here?
Well, we have to bring back our jobs. I mean, you take a look. Walker has a big, I got this right out of Time magazine and right out of others. He had a 2.2. When I was really going against him, I read an article, and it was a positive article. It was a puff piece on him. And he has a $2.2 billion budget deficit. I said, whoa, where did that come from? It was a little article. It was a little paragraph in the back of this article, toward the end of the article. And it talked about the schools are not being funded properly, and there's a mess, and the roadways aren't being funded properly. And, say what you want about Wisconsin. Wisconsin has a lot of problems. Plus, there's tremendous hatred. I mean, you look at the vitriol. You look at all of the I've been watching it. It just seems like it's the hatred. I mean, the recall elections and all that's going on there. So I wouldn't exactly say, fellas, that things are running smoothly. But you look at your budget deficit, the real budget deficit, the one that he could not explain during the debates. When I used to say you have a $2.2 billion budget deficit, he said, oh, well, that's a Democrat soundbite. Well, but he wouldn't explain that we didn't have it. Okay? He'd never explain it. And he was favored to win, and by the time I got finished with him, he was dropping out of the race. He was one of the first ones to drop out of the race. So now he's going to support probably Cruz because, he figures Cruz is maybe but, I just speak the truth. And he was my opponent, and I hit him very hard. But I took care of him, and literally in 1 week he was out of the race. And all I did was quote numbers from a story that I had confirmed. But you had a $2.2 billion budget deficit, and the schools were going begging, and everything was going begging because he didn't want to raise taxes because he was going to run for president. So instead of raising taxes, he cut back on schools, cut back on highways, cut back on a lot of things. And that's why, Wisconsin has a problem, and you're losing jobs all over the place, and you're not getting your product out like you're supposed to get it out. And you guys know that, and some of these other hosts are, they're trying to fight me, but they can't fight me very well. They're not good fighters, if you want to know the truth. I was surprised.
Mr. Trump, I do have one final question for you about the convention.
But you need jobs. You need jobs, and you need great trade agreements.
In July in Cleveland, the Republican convention, if it's close, if let's say you get there and you don't have 1237, but you have 1,200 and Cruz has 1,150 or something, it's really close, but you have a little bit more. And then they do the ballots second, third, fourth, and you wind up not getting the nomination in the second or third ballots, even though you had more delegates, not by a lot, but by a little on that first ballot. Will you support the eventual nominee if it's not Donald Trump?
Well, I don't want to say yet a bit, but I will tell you this. It's not going to be close. Cruz won't have anywhere near what I have. I already have many more than him, almost, I guess, 300. A lot of delegates more than him. I have 2 million votes more than him. 2 million. In other words, during the primaries, I have more than 2 million. Think of that number, 2 million votes more than Cruz. So it's a wipeout. By any standard, if that were an election, he'd be wiped out. Okay. But he's fighting, and he's trying to get Walker and all these guys like Walker that I beat, that I really beat up badly, and he walked out frankly in disgrace. I'm surprised he has any. I'm surprised he's got any juice left in Wisconsin. But he's trying to get them. Here's the story. It's not going to be close. It will be a question of whether I get to, because everybody's in my way. I've got every person trying to stop me because, the gravy train stops if I get in because I'm self-funding my campaign. I don't have lobbyists that make a fortune in Washington. I don't have special interests that make a fortune in Washington. So everybody's against me, which is okay. It's the story of my life. But I will tell you, it won't be close. It will be a question as to whether or not I get there. I think I get there. I think I may get there easily, but I think I get there. Wisconsin would be greatly helpful if I could get the vote in Wisconsin.
If you don't get to 1237, though?
Wisconsin will be a big benefactor if I get there.
If you don't get there, would you support Cruz?
Let me just say, but I do feel if I win, and let's say I have 1,200, and Cruz is at 700 or 800, okay, so it's not close, because that's about the most I see him getting. 800 would be maximum, the maximum he's going to get. That's not close. I think I should get the nomination if that's the case. In other words, because for one reason, I had many people. This wasn't a man running against a woman or another man. This was a man running against many people, including Carly and many other people. We had a man running against me, running against many people. So you didn't break it up. One would get 3%, one would get 5%, I'd get 32%, somebody. So it's not really fair because obviously you can't, it's very hard to get to 50% when you're running against 16 people. You understand what I mean by that?
Sure.
Despite that, even now I'm running against, there's 3 people in the race. But despite that, I'm going to come very close to getting the 50%. Now, it's very unfair because whoever had a race where 17 people were in the race, and every one of those people brought a constituency, and every one of those people had 3% or 2% or 5%. So
no, you've done phenomenally well. You've done phenomenally well and exceeded so many people's expectations. I just wonder and worry that if it's close, even, 200 separates you, let's say, and Cruz winds up getting it on the second or third ballot, if we are going to be unified as a party and say, okay, you want it fair and square, or, because Cruz has said as of very recently, he would support you if you win it. I just want to know if that's reciprocated. Would you support him?
I don't think he'll be unified. No, I don't think he'll be unified. I think that the people that are on my side, they don't like Ted Cruz. They don't like his policies. They don't like his, stance on numerous things. I think that I don't think the people that are with me, the people that are with me want to see this country win again. And Ted's not going to have us win. Ted's not a winner. They want to see this country. Just like I said, Scott Walker's not a winner. Well, I heard these wonderful things about Scott Walker. Do you know Scott Walker came to my office before I announced and gave me a beautiful plaque thanking him because I supported him during his turmoil. Thanking me. Beautiful plaque. I have it. Maybe I'll whip it out today. Maybe I'll lift it up. Gave me this beautiful framed plaque of some kind, thanking me for the help and everything else. How quickly they forget. But no, I don't see unification. I think, as you know, I brought millions and millions of people into the party. Millions of people. It's the biggest story in politics. Millions of people more are voting now than voted 4 years ago for Mitt Romney, who was a stiff. Totally millions. Now, many of those people never voted before. Many of them are Democrats that are crossing the line, and many are independents. They're gone. If I'm out, they're gone. I'm not threatening that. I'm just telling you, I know the people. They're the greatest people. They're really free thinkers. And believe me, there's one group in there that's an amazing group. People that have never voted before. I see them by the thousands where they come in and they say, Mr. Trump, they have a Trump shirt on, and yet they've never voted before. They said, we've never had anybody. And these people are 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years old. They've never voted before. And they want to vote, and they're so proud to be voting, and they're like ardent. They're really ardent supporters. Those people are gone. They're not voting.
Mr. Trump, you've been unbelievably generous with your time here. I have one question, and this is not combative. This is actually I would really be interested to hear what you have to say. If you had to do over anything from this entire campaign, you had one do over, Would you take it? And if so, what would it be?
Well, I'd certainly take it, but it's not a possibility. And there are certain things I probably would have done a little bit differently. But, look, I'm in first place. I'm leading by a lot. When I started, we had 17 candidates, and now we're down to 2. I was going to say something negative, but I thought it'd be nice.
2.5.
I know you got to run here, Mr. Trump, but you want to be...
I wouldn't do do-overs, no. It's a nice question.
No regrets. No apologies, no regrets.
I have no regrets. I'm in first place. I'm doing well. I have a really good chance of doing it, and I'll beat Hillary. Believe me, I'll beat Hillary. The last person she wants to run against is me. I'll beat Hillary in the fall.
4 p.m. today, Janesville Conference Center, Donald Trump in person. Go to donaldjtrump.com for tickets. Mr. Trump, anything else you'd like to add before we say goodbye?
No, just a great honor doing your show. You have a really good show. I really enjoyed this.
Thank you very much,
right.
Mr. Trump. Have a great day.
Much.
There we go. And there is Donald Trump.